It started as an ordinary night. Jason Carter, a struggling journalist, sat in his dimly lit apartment, staring at his phone. No calls, no emails, just another night of disappointment. But then, at exactly 3:33 a.m., his phone rang. He looked at the screen. It showed a blocked number. Jason hesitated but picked up. "Hello," a distorted voice whispered. "Jason." "Not yet." Then the call ended. Jason stared at his phone, confused and scared. Who called him? Why? As he tried to call back, he noticed the number wasn't available. It didn't exist. Maybe it was a wrong number. He decided to ignore it and went back to bed. However, sleep wouldn't come. Thoughts kept racing through his head. Who was that mysterious caller, and why did they warn him not to go outside? Jason tossed and turned in his bed, anxiety gnawing at him. Suddenly, there was a loud crash. He shot up in bed. Was it an intruder? Was he in danger? Jason got out of bed, his heart pounding. He slowly approached his window and gasped. Below his apartment, there was a scene of chaos. A car accident had occurred at the intersection he usually took to buy his late-night coffee. A speeding truck had plowed into a vehicle, sending it smashing into the side of a building. Sirens wailed in the distance. Jason's hands trembled. He couldn't believe his eyes. If he had left the apartment minutes earlier, he would have been in that crash. But why was he spared? The question echoed in his mind. Who had warned him not to go outside? And what did they mean? The next morning, the news was filled with the accident. Jason Carter, reporter for a small local newspaper, read about the incident, his heart heavy. 2 people had lost their lives in the accident. The driver of the truck had been speeding. Jason shuddered. It could have been him. As he stared at the article, a chill ran down his spine. There was something eerie about this, something he couldn't shake off. He thought back to the mysterious call, the warning that had come out of nowhere. That night, Jason couldn't sleep. Every creak of the building, every siren in the distance made him jump. Then, just as the first rays of sunlight peeked through the curtains, his phone rang. Jason jumped, his heart racing. On the screen, the caller ID flashed, blocked. His blood ran cold. Could it be the same number from last night? With shaking hands, he picked up the receiver. On the other end, the voice was clearer now. "Jason, don't take the elevator today, please," the voice urged. "It's important." And before Jason could respond, the call disconnected. Puzzled and frightened, Jason decided to heed the warning. He took the stairs to his office, his mind filled with questions. What was happening? Who was behind these cryptic calls? At work, Jason couldn't focus on his writing. The phone call kept him preoccupied. When lunchtime rolled around, he decided to take a break and investigate. He pulled out his phone and dialed *POUND 6#, hoping to trace the caller. But the call log showed nothing unusual. The number was still unavailable. Just as Jason was about to give up, he remembered his office line. Maybe the call had come in when he was out. He rushed to the phone and checked the call log. There it was, the number from last night. But when Jason tried to call back, it went straight to voicemail. Confused and frustrated, Jason returned to his desk. He needed answers. But as the hours passed, the clock struck 3:33 p.m. His phone rang. He stared at it, surprised. Was this the same time as the previous calls? Hesitantly, he picked up. "Hello." The voice was urgent. "Jason, get away from your desk. Quickly," the voice said. "Don't ask questions. Just go." Just as Jason was about to respond, the line went dead. He looked around the office. People were coming in and out. Who was trying to warn him? As the minutes ticked by, Jason found himself frozen in fear. What should he do? Just then, he heard a loud bang from the floor above. The ceiling lights flickered and an announcement crackled over the intercom. "Attention all employees. Please evacuate the building immediately. We have an emergency situation." Jason paled. What was happening? He ran to the elevators, but they were shut down. Taking the stairs was his only option. As he rushed down the flights of stairs, he heard a series of bangs and crashes. The building was coming apart. Gasping for breath, Jason stumbled outside. He was safe. Looking back at the building, he saw smoke billowing from the top floor. The voice had saved him. But who was behind it all? In the following days, Jason Carter became a man on a mission. He scoured through his phone records, every call, every text message, searching for a clue, a hint, anything that could lead him to the person who had been trying to warn him. But it was all in vain. There was nothing. As he sat in his room surrounded by stacks of papers, he realized there was only one thing to do. He had to go back to the beginning, to the very first call. With renewed determination, Jason Carter began his investigation, determined to uncover the truth behind the mysterious calls and the identity of the person who had been trying to save him. Meanwhile, little did he know that the clock was ticking and the next call could change everything. Then on the 7th night, as Jason sat alone in his apartment, his phone rang. It was 3:33 in the morning. His heart skipped a beat. Finally, he would get some answers. He picked up the phone. The voice on the other end was familiar. It was his own. "Jason," the voice said urgently, "this is your last warning. You need to leave your apartment now." Jason's blood ran cold. He stared at the phone in disbelief. Who was this person? Why were they contacting him from the future? Before he could respond, the line went dead. But the mystery deepened. The apartment shook violently. Jason looked around in panic. He grabbed his keys and rushed out of the apartment. As he reached the safety of his car, an explosion rocked the apartment building. The structure was engulfed in flames. Breathless, Jason watched in horror as his apartment building reduced to rubble. He knew if he had stayed inside, he would have died. But why? Why was someone from the future trying to warn him? And who was that mysterious person? Determined to find answers, Jason Carter dug through his phone records the next day, hoping to find some trace of the calls. But what he found shocked him. There were no incoming calls. At 3:33 a.m., they never existed. As the days went by, Jason's search for answers led him to a dead end. The calls remained a mystery, but one thing kept him going. He had survived, and that was all that mattered. Years later, Jason Carter, now a successful journalist, moved on with his life. The memory of the strange incident faded into a distant memory. One evening, as he was clearing out his old things, he came across his phone from that time. As he flipped through the old device, he discovered something shocking. There was a voicemail left by him, a message from 10 years in the future. With trembling hands, Jason played the message. A faint whisper echoed through the receiver. "Jason, if you get this message, don't answer the call. Whatever happens, don't answer the call." The screen went black.